In today's video, I'm going to go over all of my Procreate preferences and settings. If you're following along with the classes that I'm teaching here on YouTube, these settings might help you to be able to follow exactly what I'm doing, but also you can tweak your settings to what you like. So through this video, you'll be learning more about where these settings can be found, and it is nice to know where they are in case something isn't working. You know where to go look to see if something got messed up through your cat stepping on your iPad or something like that. So let's go ahead and open our fall leaf project. This is the first mini project that we're going to do on YouTube. So this file is available for free. You can download it and then look for that class because we're going to have a lot of fun and do some really interesting things with Procreate. So where I want to look for the preferences that I'm going to use is in this wrench icon. So if we tap that, remember this is our actions panel, and you can tap across this top menu to any of these settings. But today, for what we're doing here, I want to be in the preferences section. So you can see that that turns on as soon as I tap it. Now I have this list of different preferences that I can set on my iPad. These settings will be the same every time you open a new piece. So these stay standard within the app. You don't have to change these with every piece that you do. So the top is the light interface. This is the way I prefer to have it. If you turn it off, you can see that the background turns black. I don't like, it bothers my eyes, but you can set it however you like. The next setting is the right hand interface. So I prefer to have my slider on the left side. This way I can move the slider with my left hand and be working with my right hand. If you turn it on, it will actually pop over here. So I can toggle that on and you see that it's moved to this side. If I toggle it off, it comes back over to the left. I have dynamic brush scaling on, I have store brushes in iCloud on, and I have the size and opacity sidebar on. This is a setting that got turned off somehow recently, and I was so confused by what happened to my sliders over here. So it's good to know that that is there. So the next section that we're going to jump into is the gesture controls. In the pressure and smoothing, I don't have anything changed here at all. So if I go back to the actions menu, we're going to do a lot of work here in the gestures, in the gesture controls. So again, as you use the app, you might find some different things here that you want to change. I'm just going to show you mine. So in the smudge, you can see that I don't have anything turned on here at all. In erase, I also don't have anything turned on. I don't have anything turned on in assisted drawing. In the eyedropper, I do have some things turned on. The eyedropper is that color picker tool. And really the only one that I use is this bottom one, but I have turned on tap the square. So if you tap the square, it will bring up the color picker. If you, I have turned on the plus touch. So if you push that square button and touch, it'll also invoke the dropper. Let's go ahead and show what that looks like. So this is the square that this is talking about. And I mentioned this before in another video. This is a powerful little button. But if I just hold it, sorry, if I just tap it, this is the color picker that shows up. Let's go ahead and turn on the reference picture so that you can see, kind of see it in action. So if I move this color picker anywhere around, it will pick the exact color of what is in my reference photo. So going back to that setting in gesture controls, this eyedropper setting, the bottom one, the touch and hold, this is the one that I generally use. So if I go back to my piece, if I just tap and hold, the dropper will appear, and the same situation. I can move it around. So really the only difference between those preferences that I have set is if I touch the button to turn on, then I can actually move it around with my Apple Pencil. If I tap and hold, then I need to keep my finger down to move it around. So if you're finding out that you need just a little bit more control, you want to use your Apple Pencil for the picker, then maybe just turn it on over here, and then you can drag it around that way. So let's go ahead and go back into the wrench and go back to the gesture controls. For QuickShape, the one I have turned on is draw and hold. So what that does, I'm going to go to the layers and turn off that layer. And let's go ahead and turn on add a new layer because I'm just going to be scribbling and I don't want it to be on anything else here. So what we're going to do, what this does, if you make any shape at all, let's say I make a circle. If you circle and hold, you saw it pop up that an ellipse was created. If I then also touch, it makes it a perfect circle. So let's show that again. Let's do it this time with a square or a rectangle. If I draw and then leave my pencil down, just hold it, it makes that rectangle. I can make it a perfect shape by touching it with my finger. But I can also turn it and adjust it to any size that I want, all while the Apple Pencil is still down. Once I lift the Apple Pencil up, then the image is created. So let's go ahead and go back to the gesture controls. That was the draw and hold on the QuickShape section. We'll go down and look at quick menu. I don't have anything on. Full screen, I have the 4-finger tap to show the full screen. I have it turned on here. I never use it. You can turn yours on if you want yours to be exactly like mine. Clear layer, I do have scrubbing back and forth with 3 fingers clears the layer. Again, I never use that. If I'm going to clear a layer, I usually just go into the layers menu and delete it. Copy and paste. I do have the 3-finger sweep on, 3-finger swipe on for copy and paste. So let's go see what that looks like. Let's make a couple of other little shapes, little things in here. If I want to copy everything that's on this layer, and the only thing that's on this layer are these shapes that I've made, the sketch is on a different layer. Why don't we go ahead and just turn the sketch off? So I turned it off just by clicking that check box on the side. So now we have layer 3 selected, and we have these items on this layer. Oops, I did a 2-finger tap. So to copy and paste, we just put 3 fingers down and swipe down. The copy and paste menu pops up. I'm going to click copy, 3-finger swipe, and click paste. And now I have another copy of everything that was on the screen. So if you come over to your layers, which again are these stacked boxes here. This inserted image is the copy that I just made. If I want to delete it, just left swipe and delete. The other way that we can use the copy is by clicking our selection tool. I have it set to freehand. That means I can draw the lasso around just what I want to copy. So now I have it selected. If I 3-finger swipe down to copy, 3-finger swipe down to paste, now I have another version of just that heart. And it's fun to work with it when you're using shapes over and over, or parts of your drawing over and over. This is a really amazing tool. I can resize it, I can flip it horizontally or vertically, and I can do lots of other, I can distort it, I can warp it into all kinds of different shapes. The nice thing about this selection tool is you can reset and it will go back to where it was before. So you don't really have to worry when you're using some of those adjustments that you're going to get, you're going to be locked into what you do. But you do want to just make sure that you go back to uniform, and then you'll be able to move it. Just a little side note on moving items. I generally prefer to tap down outside of the control tools here to move. If you tap inside, you can sometimes accidentally resize. So tapping outside just ensures that you're just moving it. So let's go ahead and go back and look at our gesture controls. That was the 3-finger copy and paste that we just looked at. Layer select is really a powerful tool, and I do use this one a lot. So for layer select, I have toggled on that the little square plus the Apple Pencil will help you find the layer. So let's go ahead and go back to our canvas. Just clicking done to leave that. And let's look at what that looks like in a project. I'm going to tap the layers and then tap plus to add a new layer. And now let's go ahead and change our color just so we have some different things happening here. So now I'm on a new layer. I can make some different shapes. Let's add another layer. Stacked boxes, plus, I can just tap back to the screen to leave that menu. I can tap the colors. Let's pick a different color here. Go back to the brush, just make sure I'm on a new layer. Yep. I think checking the layer is something I'm constantly doing. It's just a good habit to be in, to check your layers, make sure you're actually working on the layer that you want to be working on. So now I have a lot of different things. I've got, in my layers panel, I've got the original scribbles that we did, the inserted heart that we did, the layer of the red hearts, and the layer of the green hearts. Just as a side note, you can name your different layers, and this is a good habit to get into because if you're doing a very complex piece, it's nice to be able to see easily what's on the layer. So if I tap it, let me go ahead and go back. If I choose a layer, so now I've highlighted it. If I tap it again, I get a menu. The top one is rename. So your keyboard pops up, and I can name this one. I think that those were the red hearts. So that's just a little side note. We'll be talking about that in other classes too. But to go back to this setting, once you have everything going on your screen, it can be a little bit hard to find what is actually on a specific layer. What layer is the green heart on? So if I tap this square and then tap the green hearts, you could see that it kind of blinked a little bit and it pops up at the top really quickly with what layer it's on. But the most important thing is when you go to your menu, it has moved the layer that you just selected as the active layer. So by active, what I mean is when I do anything here, I'm only affecting that layer. So if I go into smudge and I try to smudge the brown hearts, I can't do that. They're not active on this layer. But if I go to smudge green hearts, and you can't really see that very well on the screen, let me make it a little bit. I can smudge the green because that's the active layer that we're on. So if you're trying to blend or do something and your iPad just isn't working the way you think it should be working, check what layer you're on because you'll only be able to change what's on the active layer. However, having said that, if I go back to my pencil or my brush tool and I switch to the red color, I can color on that layer. I can paint and make changes. So that's why it's always important to be checking back to your layer, making sure you're on the correct layer, because managing those layers will help us get our project exactly the way we want it. And in every class, I will go through exactly my thought processes on when I'm adding layers and how I'm manipulating them. So let's go ahead and just show that again so that you can see. It is this square tool, and I just tapped it so you can see the color picker showed up. So I want to hold it, and let's choose this. I did it again. Sometimes when you're trying to say what you're doing, it's the iPad gets confused. It's like, what are you talking about? So again, if I hold and choose, you see I got that little blink, a little layer pop up here. And then if I go to my layers, I can see that it activated the layer that I chose. So I hope you can see how handy that can really be if you're building a really complex project. It's nice to not have to search through layers. However, a shortcut to this that I will tell you is, and I do this sometimes just because I'm in a hurry, I guess, just because it's easier to do this. But if you open your layers menu and you just toggle on and off the layers, you can see them pop on and off, and that will sometimes tell me which layer I'm looking for. So that's just another little option. So let's go back into the actions and go back to our gesture controls. And that was the layer select that we just talked about. Hover, I don't have anything turned on there. And in general, this one is very important. And I think it'll be something that you will all want to make sure that you have changed on your Procreate app. At the very top, it says enable painting with a finger. I have mine turned off because I don't want my hand making any marks on my piece as I'm working. So if I toggle it back on and then just tap done to leave this menu, now when I'm working on my piece, if let me choose a color that will show up. If I tap with my finger, I have that brush really small, you can't even see it. Let's go to a different brush that hopefully you'll be able to see. Make it big. If I tap with my finger, still not big. What is going on here? Just make a new layer that will move up to the top. I'll just leave it there actually. So you can see that if I touch with my finger anywhere, it will make marks on my canvas. Some of the first ones that I did there are real tiny, but as you're working, you know, it's easy to get your finger down on the screen, and I just don't want that to clean up on my piece. So let's go ahead and go back to the actions tool, go back to gesture controls and turn off enable painting with a finger. I do have rotate, pinch, zoom on, and I use this one a lot. So 2 fingers down on the canvas and then turning it, pinching in, pinching out. You can see that you can really zoom in quite close for some details. So let's just go ahead and check our gesture controls again. I think that that was all. And I'm just going to click done. So those are my settings, and I hope that that little introduction shows you what some of your options are within the app. It will also help you, like I talked about before, if your opacity sidebar gets accidentally turned off, you'll know where to go look for it. To get back to just painting and working on my canvas, all I have to do is click the brush tool and that menu is closed and I'm set to go. The other option would be just to toggle off the menu over here. Just tap it at the top again. So let me know in the comments what you learned on this video. Did you learn something new? What do you think your favorite setting and preference is going to be on your Procreate app? And as always, if you have any questions at all, just leave me a comment. I'm happy to either answer them in a message, in a response to you, or I'm always happy to do a quick film of a video, because if you're having problems, probably others are too. So I hope that you will be sure that you are subscribed to the channel. I have lots more Procreate videos coming, and I'll see you in those classes.